Hey everyone, I'm Foxitor, and I'm annoyed. I already recorded this entire thing, but I had my mic muted, so nothing recorded actually. So I'm quite pissed, but welcome to the IBA, Season 5. We're doing the draft analysis. Really happy to be back in this league. I love this league. We have a championship to defend, so really looking forward to it. And I drafted a pretty good team, if I can say so myself. So without too much hassle, let's just get into it. First pick, we were in the middle of the draft, by the way. I think it was a 14 or 16 man draft. I don't know. I can check that. I don't know. Anyway, not a very favorable position to be in. Dead in the center. But we still got Tyrannosaur, which is quite good. Might be my favorite one to use in draft. Or like behind Zapdos. I don't know. It's a very good mon. A very solid mon. Very good speed tiering. Meaning that it basically outspeeds most things if they're not scarfed. Gets access to Defog, Taunt, U-Turn, Knockoff. Very good utility mon. Also gets access to Nasty Plot now, so quite a potent offensive mon too. Although Hurricane is a pretty not reliable move. Yeah, Tornadus is a very solid one. Very happy I got it. And it pairs very well with the next pick, which is Slowbro. I think Tornadus T Slowbro is probably one of the better regen cores to draft. Like, probably one of the best regen cores to draft. I used Slowbro in the or in the previous season of the IBA as well. It's a very solid defensive pivot. It's a regenerator mon with teleport, which is basically a busted principle, I think, to begin with. But there's a very nice defensive typing in Water Psychic as well. Yeah, it gets access to teleport, to Scald, to a bunch of coverage to like Thunder Wave and Ice Beam and Flamethrower, which is very cool. You can run this thing Assault Vest as well if you need to. It has pretty decent HP and Speed F stats. So if you invest in special defense with an Assault Vest, this thing can chew special hits too. So yeah, very happy I got Slowbro. I think Tone C with Slowbro is one of the better regen cores. So happy I was able to grab it. Next I drafted Excadrill. I'm going for Sand again. I love playing with Sand in the UPBA, so I really wanted to try it out again. Excadrill is a very potent offensive threat. With Sand Rush, this thing will outspeed basically everything. And it has a very solid attack stat at 135. Meaning that if you can either get a Swords Dance off or if you just slap a life up on this thing, you can clean up very nicely if your opponent's team is weakened. Yeah, just a very potent offensive threat. Not really much more to say about it. Next, I drafted Tyranitar. I was really doubting whether I could like leave drafting the Sand itself for later in the draft. But Tyranitar is one of those mons that people tend to pick up even if they're not drafting Sand per se, just because it's a very good mon. And I really wanted to try T-Tar over like Hippo or Gigalith, so I just drafted T-Tar next to Excadrill. Very good mon. It's a pseudo legendary. It has amazing stats, except for its speed. It has like base 60 speed, but it has high HP, high defense, high special defense, a very high physical attack stat. I think 135, 134 something. And even a very good special attack stat, I think base 100, which is very good. So Tyranitar, I think especially defensively, it's one of the best sets to run. It's just base 100 HP with base 100 special defense, and then with the special defense boost from Sand, it becomes very, very bulky. But you can also run Dragon Dance if you want. I mean, base 61 with Dragon Dance seems a bit silly, but if you can get like 2 Dragon Dances off with this thing, you're in a very good position. So that's definitely a set I want to try out somewhere in this season. But yeah, it also gets access to Stealth Rocks, and so does Excadrill. So we now have 2 Rock Setters, 2 Hazard Removal options, with Rapid Spin and Excadrill as well. So usually I tend not to prioritize drafting hazards because everyone runs boots anyway, but I do like playing with them, so I paid a little bit of attention to that in this one. So that's Tyranitar. And Dracozolt, really wanted to try this one out, but Dracozolt is definitely a pick that I could have left probably till the end of the draft to make sure I didn't get sniped on other things, because who realistically drafts Dracozolt outside of Sand? But yeah, we drafted Dracozolt. This thing is immensely powerful. Bolt Beak doubles in power if you go before your opponent moves, meaning that in Sand, your Bolt Beaks are immensely powerful. You can also run this thing with, what's it called, with Hustle, and Choice Scarf or Choice Band or Life Orb, and then nothing is able to switch into a Bolt Beak. But the problem then is that you won't outspeed very many things. You have like a base 72 or base 75 speed, which is not very high. But in sand, you will outspeed most things, which is very good. I think substitute sets on this thing are really good. Being able to substitute on a turn and then make your move accordingly, see whether the switching is like a grass type or a ground type, and being able to like go for a dragon move on that, or drop a Draco even, or Fire Blast, I think is a very good option. So really happy I got Draco's ult. It also gets access to Fire Spin. You can trap things with Draco's ult, which is kind of crazy in my opinion. But yeah, it definitely has options. I'm really looking forward to building some more creative sets with Draco's ult. Next I drafted Moltres. As I said, one of my favorite ones to use is Zapdos, and I think Moltres kind of does Zapdos' job, but maybe not as good. But it does a very good job at it. It's of course quite weak to rocks. You're gonna run boots on this thing most of the time, but you can, like, Zapdos can get hit by a rock type move and survive, but Moltres in most cases cannot, realistically. But I still wanted to try this thing out. Flame Body is a very cool ability. You can run this thing physically defensive. It'll switch in nice to like a Rillaboom or an Hawlucha. Like, a lot of things really don't want to hit this, and if you get burned, you completely neutralize those ones for the rest of the game, which is quite cool in my opinion. It gets access to U-Turn, to Defog, to Roost, so you can pivot around, you can self-sustain, and it has a very cool special attack set as well. I think 126, 125, I don't know. If you invest into its special attack, a Hurricane and a Flamethrower will definitely hurt. So yeah, really happy I drafted Moltres. Next I drafted Cryogenol. At this point I'm just looking to round out my weaknesses and to fill out my speed tiers. I really wanted a base 110 speed mod, because that really falls nicely in between Tornadus, and I think Moltres is now my next highest, if you count out Cryogonal. But we ended up with a base 105 speed mon, which is cool as well. I think Cryogonal for the point tiering it's at is a really good mon. It gets access to Freeze Dry, meaning that water types really are not switch-ins for this thing, meaning it only really gets walled by what's it called? By steel types. It really doesn't get anything to hit steel types. It gets Ancient Power for fire types. I think offensive Cryogonal is often something people don't really prepare for, but it's a really cool one in my opinion. Gets access to Rapid Spin, it's a defog for the hazard removal, which is nice. Gets access to recovery and recover, which is fine. If you like, it has a really good special defense stat. It gets access to Iron Defense, so you can actually make this thing very bulky on both ends, which is cool in my opinion. I think just for the 4 points here, Cryogonal is actually a really nice value pick, and it really nicely rounds out the speed tiers for this team. And the next one is Comfey. I really struggle with drafting fairy types. I think a lot of the fairy types are either really expensive or just ones I don't really want to use because I've used them already. I think like Clefable is a good one. Aromatisse is a decent one. Like, bulky fairy types are really hard to get in my opinion. Slurpuff I don't like, and then you have like Primarina and the Tapus, which just go really early because they're really good ones. So I ended up with Comfey, which is an interesting one in my opinion. It's not really bulky, but it gets access to recovery and synthesis. Although synthesis does have reduced recovery in sand, which is quite annoying, but it also has the triage ability, meaning that Draining Kisses and Giga Drains will have priority, which is very cool. If you can remove the steel type on someone's team, Combine Comfey is a really scary threat. So yeah, I think it's an interesting one. Probably won't bring it to too many games, but definitely looking forward to using Comfey in this draft league. Next I went for Vikavolt. I think Vikavolt is a really interesting option. It's an electric type that is not weak to ground, making this, like, it has a quite good defensive typing in my opinion. I think Bug, Bug Electric, without being weak to ground, like with being immune to ground, is actually a really interesting defensive typing. This thing, for example, is a nice switch into Landorus Therian, for example, or to Corviknight, or to like those kind of mons. Vikavolt can kind of come in for free on those and just Volt Switch around or Roost or set sticky webs. I usually don't draft webs. I think this is the first time ever I draft webs. So looking forward to see what I can do with that. like its defenses are not amazing. It has a really great special attack stat. Like especially Vikavolt just hits immensely hard. You don't even need to invest in a special attack for it to hit really, really hard, which is really cool. Yeah, so looking forward to using Vikavolt. Also makes for a nice, really defensive pivot. We now have quite some nice defensive pivoting, I think, in Vikavolt and Slowbro and Moltres. And Tornadus Therian too, to be honest. You can run Tornadus quite bulkily. I really like bulky Tornadus. So really happy with the pivoting on this team. And the final one is Golurk. I really wanted to try Golurk. I drafted Golurk once before, but then I think in the grace period, I drafted it away again. So Golurk hits stupidly hard. Like Choice Banded Poltergeist are immensely hard to switch into. This thing has access to no guard, meaning that dynamic punches and Poltergeist and Stone Edges will not miss, which is really cool. Defensively, its typing is interesting. Like, for example, this thing walls Terrakion. I don't know whether Terrakion gets drafted, but Terrakion gets nothing to touch this, which was quite a niche defensive typing, but it works in some cases, which I think is cool. Other than that, not really much more to say about Golurk. It gets access to Stealth Rocks. I don't know how many times I'll actually bring it on Golurk. I know how many times I'll actually bring Golurk, but yeah, looking forward to using it. It's another electric immunity, something you might be willing to switch in on an electric type Pokemon before you switch in Excadrill, as Excadrill might be your win con for most of the weeks. So yeah, I think the team looks really, really solid. A lot of hazard control, a lot of defensive pivoting, and very prominent offensive threats in Sand in Excadrill and Tyranitar, with some support from Moltres and Vikavolt to take out that counters. I mean, Excadrill is countered by Corviknight and by Celesteela and by Skarmory and by Tangrowth, and Vikavolt and Moltres deal with those really, really well. Even Dracozolt deals well with them. So I think this team is really, like, the build of this team is really centered around Sand and really centered around supporting the win cons in Excadrill and Dracozolt. So I'm looking to make that work this season. So I hope you enjoyed this quick draft recap. Sorry I kind of rushed through it, but I already did it once before. So I really hope the audio is recorded now, and we can finish this off. But please go check out all the other coaches. They'll be linked in my description. They're all very kind people. I really love the group of people we have for this season of the IBA. All super kind. We have some new guys to Draft League as well, which is always nice to see. Some new people get involved in the community. So yeah, very happy with that. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.